Hello, everyone. This is David Ellis, and today I am here with a very, very special guest. I'm here with the CEO of DNA Power Incorporated, Louis Naherney, and today we're going to be talking everything DNA, and I've talked about this in several broadcasts, but today we have the person to talk to you about it. Louis, introduce yourself.
Thanks very much, David. Delighted to be here. Of course, DNA is my favorite topic, in part because of the power that it has. So I'm Dr. Louis Naherney. I was in corporate and had done work in healthcare over many years, and I got sick and ended up seeing doctors over many, many, many years. Couldn't come up with any solution for restless leg syndrome, chronic fatigue, shortness of breath. And I saw all different specialists and ended up doing this very new DNA testing. And it showed me that I have just a simple genetic variation called a methylation problem, MTHFR, which many people are learning a lot about. And I need vitamin Bs. And with just started 2 weeks after I started taking vitamin Bs, my health returned. I lost the weight I gained. Everything was fantastic. And I ended up buying the company. So I believed in it so much and what it could do that I've committed the last 8-9 years has been around how can we use DNA information as part of the puzzle to help people with their everyday health, because DNA is your biological roadmap. And when you understand your unique DNA, then you've got the best opportunity to live a life according to your body to keep it its healthiest.
Yes, so I'm going to tell you right now, this is the most exciting interview I'm going to be doing for a while because I became a partner with DNA Inc. I'm very proud to be a partner of DNA Inc. And you guys emphasize preventative healthcare. So a lot of people usually ask, why should I get any kind of DNA screen? What is the purpose? I'm going to let you answer that because your words are so much better than mine where this is concerned. Go ahead.
Well, we all know we're made of DNA, and every one of us has our own unique program. And so, we've all been through where we've seen where, one size diet doesn't fit all, one size exercise doesn't fit all. Something works for someone, doesn't work for someone else. You see in your family, some people have some, weight problems, some don't. Why is that? Well, it's because we all inherited a different pattern of genetics. And so what we're trying to do at DNA Power is we look at the DNA related to your day-to-day health. So we take all of the research that is sort of been living in institutional settings or in universities, and we bring that forward so that people can, through a simple cheek swab, like that's all it takes. You send it in, you get it back, and you can learn what is your unique genetic roadmap for all kinds of super simple things. Like, when we talk about diets, people go, oh, should I be on a keto diet or shouldn't I? Well, it completely depends on your DNA. If you've got good fat genes, go for it. If you've got bad fat processing genes, you will set yourself up for fatty liver disease, all kinds of things. So when you get your DNA tested, we test for 70 areas and about 200 genes related to your health for carbs, fats, and proteins to help you know what diet to be on, with lactose, gluten, salt, alcohol, food tastes. We do all the vitamins. And then we look at really important processes for your body that is often where people have problems and chronic disease around detoxification, hormones, inflammation, and methylation. And then we also look at some brain wellness factors, including Alzheimer's, which we believe is diet related and has a big role to play, because when we see certain genes, we can see that if you shift your diet, you will keep your body healthier and you won't create the plaquing that can occur. And so, why is this important? Because there's nowhere else that you can get this level of insight into your unique body. Like you only do it once because it's your lifetime roadmap. You don't get this. I mean, urine is a point in time, blood's a point in time, stool is a point in time. There's your any checking your metabolism and other things are all points in time. This is where does your body where does it settle out naturally, and where do you need to watch out in order to keep yourself healthy? And so really, I would love to see this as every person, almost as a child, gets this, so that they know how to be focused on the foods and the exercise and other things to keep themselves healthy over their lifetime.
Honestly, Lois, I've been working in nutrition, athletics, and just general healthcare for many, many years. And this has been one of the most useful tools that I've come across in like my entire career. And so when I understood the ethos of it, because when people think about DNA, they think about, oh, I want to know where my ancestors came from, right? And that's from Ancestry.com 23 and me. And so I think a lot of people tend to think of DNA only in one way. So I wanted to tell them basically what kind of insights can you gain from this process?
Yeah. Well, our whole goal, because sometimes when people hear DNA, they think, oh, it's going to be too complicated. Will I understand it? And my whole goal and our company's goal was, how do we make this really, really simple and accessible? Mm-hmm. And so, what we did is we put everything into green and red. And so it's as simple as this. You've seen these, of course, David, but where it's red, and you can see there's a lot more red on this page, those are the areas here to focus on. Those are the areas where your genetics are not normal. They have a variation that research has shown links to certain conditions over time. And so in this particular person, they've got great diet genes, because this is all about carbs, fats, and proteins. These are excellent. However, big problems when it comes to alcohol, caffeine, gluten, lactose, and salt. And so everybody's, of course, looks different, but you get this roadmap, and in so many, 70 areas to help you figure out what to do differently. And then you get whole page of recommendations based on what you just learned about your unique body. And basically that becomes your instruction sheet for your lifetime. If gluten's an issue, don't fight it. Your body doesn't have the genes to break it down. And even though our bodies are smart and can deal with a lot of this, lots of people will manage with lactose and gluten over many, many, many years, sometimes decades. And then suddenly they're feeling not very good and they're sluggish, or their body, they're putting on weight and there's some inflammation, and they'll go, well, it can't be, milk or bread because I've eaten those all my life. I'm not allergic to them. What they don't know is that their gut was helping them out to digest this stuff. But over time, the body just can't do it anymore. And so this gives you you kind of got this whole ballpark of where do I start to now deal with, not feeling well. This gives you kind of your dartboard of, here is where you have genetic issues. This is where you are more likely to have challenges. And I want to add, David, the thing that's so interesting is that DNA it doesn't change. Your DNA doesn't change. But what affects DNA is epigenetics. Epigenetics means on top of your genetics, and it is what triggers your DNA how to express itself. And so your epigenetics is lifestyle, and it is your diet, your vitamins, your exercise, sleep, stress, many things, and toxins. Those are the things that impact the ability for your DNA to stay as healthy as it can. And so when you know where you've got genetic weaknesses, what you're trying to do, it's just almost like driving your car up the road. If you know where the potholes are, don't drive your car into them. You're going to trash your vehicle. Same with your body. If you're driving your body into the potholes where your genetics are not strong, you're going to break down your body sooner. And so what we're trying to do is say, how can you see that roadmap, figure out where the potholes are, and then take action to live healthier? And some people got great genes and some people have genes that aren't the best. Most people are in the middle of the road. But for me, my thing is I need vitamin Bs every single day, or I get actually quite ill. And that's just what my body needs. So yay, at least I've got a formula.
Yeah, well, that's something we have in common. I need vitamin Bs too, apparently. What I emphasize with my clients is that we're living in 2024. There's no need to be guessing your lifestyle away, because this is what happens to the average person who walks into my office. They try something and then they try to edit. The old way of nutrition was you take something out, you test a bunch of things, and then you take the stuff out that is affecting them, right? But then that's also a matter of guessing, because something that you took out may not actually be the thing that is affecting them. You mentioned bread as an example. Bread is made up of many different components that can affect your DNA. Okay?
100%. So you've got that right. So the problem is when somebody starts to get gut issues and then they go in for sensitivity testing, the worse you are, the more you test for almost everything. If anybody on listening has been through that, you sometimes get this massive list that you're supposedly allergic or sensitive to. But the reality is it's usually not all those things. It's usually something that is now created an overreaction in your gut or leaky gut or something else. And so your body's reacting to everything because it just isn't that strong anymore. What we're trying to do is how can you, rather than having to do full elimination diets, and not have the data, here we're going to give it to you. We do it in, we say black and white, but it's in green and red. If it's red, you have the evidence for your body that this is something that you need to focus on. And so what we're trying to do is, as you said, eliminate the guessing. Here is hard data, 200 data points related to diet. And it's actually very established science because there's only 2 critical genes related primarily to, lactose and whether it's persistent and you can digest. So it's quite clear where we study to see if you have the variation. Then there's normal and kind of a varied gene. And if you have that, then what can you do in order to support that? So we're trying to take the guessing out, as you said.
Yes, because guessing can lead to a lot of assumptions as well. All right, just take an entire food group out completely, and I have seen that done. Here is the issue that a lot of people have. A lot of people don't understand that this is evidence-based preventative care.
Yeah.
Right, and the keywords there is evidence-based. This is not a guessing game. And so a lot of people want to know the process. Okay, so I take the cheek swab, it goes to a lab. Tell me about the lab.
Yeah, sure. We use one of the top rated labs in Canada, all certified, impeccable. They're just so fantastic. We're very big on privacy. And so what might be different if people have heard of any other companies that do this is because I came from tech industry at times as well, I'm really into data privacy. So how do we make sure that we only take the data that we need and that goes to the lab? Everything's double encrypted. It's only a swab with a barcode on it that goes into the lab. And I should have had one sitting right here. It's just behind on the shelf to show people just a simple little kind of foamy tip that you rub on the inside of your cheeks. And this gets processed. It gets uploaded into your customer portal, and then the data is there and available for you. And you get a ton of information. We start, first of all, with just a summary report. So it's just if you just want the basic information, you get the summary, and then the summary will say, what do you get on diet, fitness, health, and brain? And it's all summarized in here along with all your recommendations. If you want to dive in deeper, then there's still the 4 backup reports, and this one's all on diet. And it's all of the genetics that we're testing then on that. And so we're taking the data and trying to put all of this as much as we can into your hands so that you can deal with that. And again, just saying that, we have, the testing on DNA is actually excellent. And so it's, it's not something anyone should be worried of. And we aren't here to clone you or to do anything else. Nobody could do anything, because you wouldn't believe the questions we get, right?
No, I can't believe that. I get the same questions like,
right.
What do you need my DNA for?
Right. So we are not sequencing your entire DNA. We're not taking the 800,000 SNPs that 23andMe and Ancestry do. And just to be fair, most of these companies sell your data. That's why they got into the business. And they can't actually tell you how to improve your health. What we're doing is we're taking just the health ones so that we really protect your privacy, your information. Nobody could do anything with your data but you in these reports. So we're trying to make sure that people feel comfortable. This is only about putting the information that's valuable to you to be healthy day to day in your hands.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about the fitness aspect of this DNA screen. So let's say the average person goes to a gym.
Mhm.
Okay, there again, there's a lot of guessing. All right, they're going to try cardio, they're going to try resistance training, they're going to try some calisthenics, and then they're going to put together this thing. Right, I have personal trained people before. Um, I have also seen about their nutrition, and I've seen about different aspects of health. The guessing is what causes a problem, because this is what discourages people from going to the gym in the first place, because they go, like, if their genetics aren't suited towards resistance training, that's an entire horror show. That first set of soreness that sets into them, they're done. So tell us
Totally.
about that.
You are so right about that. I think of all the years I had a personal trainer, and there's a slight tendency for more trainers to be power oriented because they like the gym. And I would go in there and I hated it. And I just, oh my God, I had sore muscles. They would say push to fatigue. Okay, well, there's two things. And this one sort of is a little bit like mine. The first two here are about power and sprint versus endurance. I'm an endurance athlete. I cannot do power and sprint. And so when I was finally able to show my DNA to my trainer, it's like, I need endurance. And then when it goes into my ligament and tendon strengths, if somebody needs to more warm up to stay safe. We look at muscle strength. Can you take bigger weights? And we look at muscle repair. Do you need more time between your workouts? So the way my body is set up, I actually need lighter weights and longer sets. And my body responds to that. It does not respond when I do super heavy weights, push to fatigue on, 3 heavy sets. I need longer sets, etc. And so once I switched my routine and understood that, I saw all kinds of improved results. We also take a look at blood pressure, energy availability. If you have poor energy availability, you want people to eat a little bit more before and after their workouts, just so they don't feel exhausted. We look at metabolism, oxygen uptake. People know that sometimes is VO2 max. How far can you push yourself? And we look at important things related to stroke and cardiovascular. So you don't want somebody working out who might have a risk. Like we've had some people who are extreme athletes, and we've said, you need to go see your doctor and check your arteries before you're doing this, because you're actually prone to this. And did your parents or your family have this? Oh yeah, my dad died of a heart attack. Okay, go get this checked out before you go in your Ironman, and make sure that you are not putting yourself at risk. And so it just gives that insight.
Sorry to cut across you, Lois. That's actually a very important point. I don't want it to go over the audience's head. This is what happens. People have a family history of heart disease. Mother has weight issues, died of a heart attack. Grandfather died of a heart attack. Father died of a heart attack, right? So they assume that they have genetic issues. So the response is to get to the gym and push as hard as possible to not die of a heart attack. You see how that works?
Yes. And I would like to reassure people that sometimes we see that people don't have the issue, and we can put their minds at rest that you do not have the same plaquing or cardiovascular issue that your parents had. Because sometimes remembering that you've got like your parents will have 2 each, and you inherit 1 from each. Well, if this one was normal and this one was varied, and this one was normal and this one was varied, you could have 2 normal or 2 varied or 1 of each, right? Correct. And so you don't know which combination you got. And even if one definitely has heart attacks and the other doesn't, you might only have gotten part of it. So anyway, it's just a great way to know. And what we like to reassure people, this should make you feel empowered, because we know every single thing we test for, that you can change some of your lifestyle to live a long and healthy life and hopefully never face that risk. What we're trying to do is push your health trajectory out so that you don't suddenly have issues at 60 or 70, that it would take you to 150 to have that issue. And, if you're going to 150, then we'll figure that out, how to keep you healthy then. But really, there's so much that we can do to support this. And I do want to be sure you let me talk a little bit about food supply and why this is so important.
We're getting there. I'm going section by section.
Beautiful.
We're going to go to brain health next. And I want you to talk about brain health for sure, because in Western Canada, I've seen the stats. and I'm not sure if it's linked to the crops and stuff that grow out here, but I've seen the stats for stuff like Alzheimer's and so on. And they're increasing, they're not decreasing. We don't know why, we're not going to speculate, but let's talk about the genetic aspect of it.
Well, the genetic aspect is simply responding to something that's coming from your external environment. And so the genetics give you a way to see what you need to be most concerned about. But really, if we could clean up our environment, we would go back to 60 years ago where we had a fraction of these diseases. And people were dying for different reasons back then. And we've expanded our lifespan, but it's actually it is unfortunately in the last 5 years starting to decrease. And that's because chronic disease is through the roof. We have now got 8 out of 10 people that die from chronic disease. Over half the population is experiencing some form of chronic disease in terms of inflammation, gut, skin health,
cardiovascular issues,
cardiovascular, weight, mental, etc. Like, it is rampant. And so what changed? So really, we've created an industrial food complex. Instead of organic food grown locally in the vibrational environment that you come from, we now have large industrial scale that has started using chemicals in the 60s and 70s in a very heavy way. And the chemicals and the glyphosates have changed the soil composition, where our soil is fractional of what it used to be. And so when you now look at most of the beautiful, often genetically modified or hybridized fruits and vegetables and things in our store, even the healthy food has sometimes half the nutrition it did when our grandparents or our parents were growing up. And so you have to be even more careful to get the nutrition that you need in order to stay healthy. You now combine that with, they're saying, like, there's studies that I have where they're finding 200 different chemicals in the umbilical cord of a baby. And so that's coming through the environment that they've inherited and that they're coming into, just because we are in that toxic of an environment. We know everything around us, including our carpets, our homes, give off things. So we've got direct and indirect. We've got our water isn't as clean and healthy as it used to be. And so that's polluting our body. And so we get sick, David, for 2 reasons. Nutritional deficiency. So we are short of something our body needs. And part of that's because our soils are depleted and our food just doesn't have the nutrition it had. And toxins. We have too much of something that is not good for our body. In particular, heavy metals can really change the functioning of the body and is very, very difficult. And it clogs your organs, it holds it, and creates real issues in detoxification. So what we are trying to do to be healthy and to be able to live healthy longer is to get the nutrients that we need and reduce the toxins that don't serve us. And that is, so that's for everybody. What happens then is it's your DNA that affects how that shows up for you. It can show up for you as heart issues. It can show up for someone as eczema. It can show up as an IBS or gut issues. It can show up as cancers. It can show up as weight gain. And so it depends on your genetic code about how that toxicity or deficiency is showing up in your body, which is why it's hard to diagnose these things and to figure out the solutions, because a lot of it is stemming from the same reason, but it shows up differently in everybody's body. And so we're trying to figure that out and find out again, what's my issue and what do I need to be most concerned of? Do I need more vitamins? Turns out I did. I can't live without vitamin Bs. And so I do. While I would actually personally love to be vegetarian, it's just not on the table for me. Because I need the absorption from animal products and meats in order to get enough B. And it just is that way for me. And even though I've tried it the other way, it just for me doesn't work. Other people, then we try to help them to supplement. So, and then other people, if you've got poor inflammation genes and everything overreacts, everything that you put in your body could have a tendency to overreact, which will then create, this knock-on effect, which inflammation will affect a number of other things, as we said, and lead into any variety of chronic diseases. So important. It's never been more important to eat healthy, get your sleep, to repair your brain, to reduce the stress in your life, because that sets off chemical signals in your body, which can create imbalances and draws out your Bs and many other things. and and actually having a good mindset about it, because we've actually learned through work like Joe Dispenza and others that your brain can actually change the expression of your genes and override disease if you can find the right vibrational place to come from for that. So again, so many fascinating things. But what I love, the DNA, evidence-based, science-based data for you to work with your body. And that's because otherwise it seems like sometimes too much.
I want to put a personal plug here for your company. So I did my screen, as you know. All right. I believe I met with Avery, and we went through it, one nutritionist to another, and we made some adjustments. Now, remember that I said I worked in nutrition, but the adjustments and the insights that your screen gave me, it has made a difference in the space of 6 days?
Yeah.
And I mean, like 6 days, it has made a massive change in the way I feel and so on. Ironically enough, right, a lot of people tend to think, well, they're getting enough from food, right? And they don't realize there's a lot that you said there that I would like to unpack. And I want to say to the audience, your food is not what it used to be. It really isn't. And so this is why supplementation has become, unfortunately, necessary for a lot of people. Okay. Having said that, a lot of people eat food just as fuel and not with any strategy in mind. Big problem. So if your strategy is to live a long and healthy life, and this is your goal, and this is where you're going, you're going to need a DNA screen. Absolutely you are.
It just makes it so much easier. Otherwise, you have to eat a pure, healthy life. And even then, you might not be eating all the right stuff. Right. And we didn't even get into, David, the fact that most of the amount of fast foods we eat, packaged foods, processed foods, trans fats, all of that is just so hard on our bodies.
And there's no way to escape it. There's no way to, I actually was very, very, like, you go to the average restaurant, okay? People don't understand, as an example, this as a tip. If it tastes good, it probably either has one of two things, sugar and fats, right?
Yeah.
So if you really have that wonderful feeling, right? M&M tastes good because of the sugar. That's why it tastes good. Because if I take the sugar out and I block we used to have a tool as nutritionists back then. I don't know if you ever heard of it. It was called a carb blocker. It took out your sweet taste.
Oh,
No, if you ever tasted an M&M, like an M&M candy without sugar, and your taste, it tastes horrible.
Wow.
It tastes horrible. So, and then there's the fat, so the fried stuff and so on. Yeah. People want people coming back to a restaurant, as an example. So they're going to load either salt, sugar, or fats into your food. And then you're going to come back. Right.
And what happens is then our guts are really, really important, because our gut connects directly to the brain. And so once your gut builds up the bacteria, or because our guts are filled with bacteria, like, because they have to digest everything. And the more you eat fatty foods, the more that grows that population in your gut. The more you eat sugars, the more it grows that population. The more you eat straight fruits and vegetables, it grows that population. And so you will crave whatever you have been eating because it's growing that population in your gut.
Which is my next question. Food tastes. That's also on your DNA screen. Let's get into that.
Well, that's actually one of those. We do it more to help you understand why you like certain things and why you don't. So in certain cases, we have a strong sweet, we don't taste salt, but the body needs it. And so you actually crave more salt. Mm-hmm. And so you tend to overeat it. So if you both like salt taste and you have, and it's a salt preference where it's not normal, it's a little bit off, you might be consuming more salt than you should. And then that also contributes to heart and cardiovascular, you have to be careful. So we're trying to put the pieces of the puzzle together. Things like, do you have a protein preference or a carb preference or sweet, salt, etc.? We're showing you there's actually genes to create preferences. And was probably created because at certain times populations needed more or less of something from wherever in the world they evolved over thousands of years. And so the body, the genes adjusted for that situation. Well, we're all this potpourri of people now from all over the world and all kinds of genetics. And so and we aren't living in the place where the food was, our bodies were designed to eventually or originally eat from. So we just need a bit more guidance.
Caribbean guy here.
Yeah. Yay. Well,
In,
and I have,
in Saskatchewan, yes.
right. And, look at how many of us love food from elsewhere around the world. And so I can give you examples of, you've got populations that do not have, less commonly have the lactose gene where you can manage lactose. So Asians come to North America and they most often don't have it. But here we're taught you should have milk. And, certainly our history in Canada has been that. And so we consume it. My husband's a prairie guy, and well, we're born prairie. So actually, I didn't even tell you that I'm Saskatoon born, and we're all
really,
all from there originally. And so, but we were raised on, like, we had, family had cattle farms and things like that. So you had, we were raised with it, but only certain genetics can manage that. And so once you learn that, you can see it. So it was the best thing. I have twins that are adopted from Asia. That's actually part of my story, is how I got interested in genetics when 20 years ago, I adopted identical girls and how different they were. And in fact, one of my children at age 3 was the first time she asked me why she wasn't a boy, and has transitioned because the genetics it was just the chemistry of the body was set up differently. And so I've been in this genetics journey for over 20 years, trying to understand how genetics and epigenetics work, and understanding, and that really brought me into preventative health and everything else. So it's just fascinating as we look at our environments and where we are and how we eat and how we exercise, how we can do things that support our bodies versus setting ourselves up for chronic disease.
Explain the statement, genetics loads the gun and lifestyle pulls the trigger.
I love it. I have never said that, but you are correct. Just to say, your genetics is not your destiny. It's your roadmap. You choose where you're going to follow that roadmap, right? And so, yes, you're if you want to use the gun analogy, the genetics are there, and if you're setting yourself up to trigger it, you're going to have problems. The thing with genetics is it tends to be gradual over time. Like, I can't tell you how many people you test and discover they actually are good. They could be celiac and have not figured that out yet, but they're dealing with psoriasis and eczema and guts. And unfortunately, our medical system is set up to treat the symptoms more than it is the cause. And if you think you are what you eat, then we need to go right back to basics, and you need to understand what your basics are and make sure you're not pulling the trigger on yourself.
That statement you just made there, you are what you eat, that is a literal thing. Because people, when we talk about genetics, they think we're talking about only human genetics. Everything on this planet that is living has DNA, right? That you've added to your DNA. Choose what you want to add to your DNA.
You become what you eat. And our organs and different parts of the body have different cycle times about how long it takes them to regenerate, but you are what you eat. And the healthier that you eat, without chemicals and other things involved, the more you look after your body, because your body wants to be healthy. So exercise kind of triggers a whole bunch of the detoxification and clearing out the junk. The more you look after those pieces, really, the healthier you'll be. And I got into this business because I was sick. I was actually hospitalized with blood transfusions. I couldn't function. I had no iron left in my body. And I got it. This switched my whole journey. And I know I will live 10 to 20 years healthier because I know how to work with my body versus against it. I really learned, we learned about preventative health, and every single person needs to take power over their own health, listen to their body, because we've sort of been taught to kind of cut ourselves off the neck and discount how we're feeling for stress and after we eat certain foods, and really sit with, how do I feel and where do I feel off and how do I reset that, and listen to your knowledge, your own homework, your own intuition, and using the tools available to you so that you can be very proactive about our health, because our medical system does a wonderful job with trauma and when things are in crisis. But the preventative journey is ours to own. It's ours to own. And your goal should be, how do I not put any more taxing on the medical system? I don't need to be part of that. Let me take care of myself and only need to use that if something traumatic happened, break my arm or whatever. But when it comes to my internal health, I really have to own that and manage that. And I will feel better. Mental health is better. My weight is better. Everything of my energy is better. And you can exercise better, and suddenly all of it compounds to just have a much stronger, healthier life.
You said something very, very important there. I think a lot of people get used to discomfort. I want to say that because I've seen people who come into my office. I'm like, how long have you been living like this?
Yeah.
Like with gut issues and so on. How long have you been living like this? It's become a kind of new normal for them.
Yes. And there's two things.
Live in pain, you know that, right?
And two things are the case. Is one is you do get used to it and it becomes a new normal. And because you've tried so many things and it hasn't worked, and you get discouraged, and it gets exhausting trying to fix something that there isn't a clear solution to. So that's exhausting. And then the other thing is it's just easier to stick with what you know and to keep, and we don't realize how patterned we are about our behavior. And so I would recommend to anybody reading the book, Joe Dispenza, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, which is how do you start each day fresh rather than reliving who you were yesterday? How do you think about who do I choose to be today? And then and he gets into DNA, which is why I love his stuff. And he really shows how you can shift your health and your genetics through your mind and your thinking, and it gets you on the right path. So anyway, it's a good one to read.
Yes, absolutely. So let's just a word on our DNA and mental health. Okay, so Alzheimer's is a big problem for a lot of people, right? Because it's so silent. And we all know that they're calling it the new diabetes 3.
Yes.
But the predisposition shows up on the DNA test.
Correct. So we can tell you if you have the gene combination that has a predisposition. Remember, it's not a guarantee. It's just a predisposition to it's plaquing. It's plaquing in the heart and in the cardiovascular and in the brain. And so that plaquing creates either cardiovascular issues or Alzheimer's issues. And so if you know you have that, then you can you go to, it's called an anti-Alzheimer's diet. It's a bit of a Mediterranean diet. And what you're trying to do then is really shift your diet. The guy who plays Thor, just forgotten the actor's name. Chris Hemsworth.
Yes.
So Chris Hemsworth, he tested and got his DNA. He actually has the double variation that links into Alzheimer's. And so he has said, I'm taking action now. I am not going to let it impact my life. I'm going to shift my diet and make sure that I am doing what I need to in order to make sure this plaquing does not occur in my body to stay healthy. And so I love it when you see someone who's going, I'm not afraid, like people, oh God, I don't want to know that. That's not what it's about. It's around the power of the information, and then that knowledge giving you the motivation, because it's hard to shift our lifestyle to make a difference. But so basically, if someone has those genes, you just got to stop eating fried foods. Sorry, doesn't work for you. And you want to be healthy.
You know how hard it is to get somebody to stop eating fried foods.
Right. But the thing that's interesting is the more you start eating healthier food, the more your body craves it and can't even eat the other food.
Correct.
Anymore. But you need a 1 month shift. You need 1 month to change the pattern, 1 month to change the habit, 1 month of changing out all the gut bacteria to do that. Here, other things, David, we learned just so much from this. I can tell you if your gut issues are DNA based or food and toxin based. Because if you don't have the genetics for it, it means something has happened.
Epigenetics, yes.
To weaken your gut. So we know that antibiotics wipes out your gut, and we know we need antibiotics for many things. But if you've had any antibiotics in the last couple of years, even in the last 5 or 10 years, it changes the regrowth of your gut. And if you think of a forest, when you cut down all the trees, what grows first? It's the weeds. It's the weeds. And so your gut is the same thing. If you cut down all of this biodiversity in your gut, and what grows back first is the stuff that likes sugar and fat. And so you kind of get a weight gain. People go into the cycle of weight gain after antibiotics, and then it weakens the gut, and you get a little bit of leaky gut, and now you're starting to get sensitive to everything. So you got to rebuild the probiotics and the prebiotics and get the gut health working. But I can tell you if that's really just because of your diet, because artificial sweeteners do the same thing. Alcohol will wipe out certain parts of your gut, or whether you have genetics that mean your eczema or your psoriasis or your gut is due to the fact you really don't process gluten, and you need to be very careful of that. And so is there a full diet change needed, or do you just need to heal your gut? And could you maybe go back into some of these foods over time? So it's good to know, like, what is your route?
Yes, a lot of people who are watching this broadcast right now are like, yeah, she's talking about me. Yeah, we're talking about you. We're talking about you. A lot of people will be affected by these things. There is a section of the report that I want to focus on, and it will break down the gene names. Actually, we'll give you the gene names and so on, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if you've actually seen this, but a lot of people are having issues with B vitamins.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I am wondering why that is in a population that eats like meat predominantly. Like, why is this happening? Now, is this a food-based issue, or is that just a change in the genetics over time?
About 40% of the population have some variation related to vitamin Bs, like quite significantly. Most people have some variations, but it works mostly normal. So it's about half and half. So that means you got half a population that need this. The difference with Bs is stress burns Bs. And we are living in a chronic stress environment. Just even being on our devices is a bit of an ADD behavior. And it's a bit because it's compulsive. It's actually taking more energy than what we used to do if we sat and read a book, or, maybe not watch a scary movie, or exercise. It needs a different level of Bs. So stress burns Bs. Changes in life burn Bs. So women over 45 to 50 don't produce as much B and need it for their bodies. And so it's really important for them to get more and to supplement. I will say that we always start with food recommendations first. So what are the foods that introduce what you need and are deficient in? And then we go into supplementation. I have to say, when I got sick, I didn't supplement at all. I didn't believe in it. I believe in it. And I believe our food supply is weak enough that everyone should have a multivitamin. At least half people should have Bs, but some people don't need Bs. Like, it depends. But you don't know until you see the DNA. Some people need more omegas. Some need more zinc. Some need more calcium, but some can have iron overload. So we're checking those genetics to know where there could be, where you most are likely to need something over time.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's important to stress, this is a preventative tool.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Don't let it become a diagnostic tool. It's a preventative tool. And
it is. Yeah. Yeah. We don't claim. So we will say, to be honest, it'll help you probably diagnose some things. We don't make a claim to be trying to diagnose anything. We are trying to give you information to help you manage your health better.
And that is the crux of the entire DNA Power Inc.
Yeah.
Empowerment. Because a lot of people operate without knowledge, and knowledge is power when it comes to your health. And a lot of people also outsource their health to practitioners and so on. You got to take your health into your own hands. This is what we're promoting on IHN, and that's why this lady is on our broadcast. Okay, Lois, is there anything else you want to say to this audience before we call this into a wrap?
Let me see. The only things I would say, super easy. The test is mailed to your home. You send it in. It takes 2 to 4 weeks to get the results once we've received the swab. You get the information. We're unique in that we always include a report review with our results to walk you through it, because we want you to make sure that you're seeing, because it's sometimes a bit overwhelming, 70 areas, but there's only kind of 10 you need to usually focus on by individual. So there's a report review that comes with this to be sure that you understand your results. And then, you just do it once. And so I would say that, it's whether you are experiencing health issues, and this can help maybe provide some insight, or you're a parent wanting to keep your health, your kids healthy. And I missed another point about concussion. So if you have the Alzheimer's gene combo, you need to be very careful about concussions because it has very poor recovery. And so I think every parent who has their kids in a contact sport should know this information, because they need to be careful about whether they want to keep their child in it, and or they need to seek immediate heavier treatments if something happens. So those are a couple of points that I know I'd like just to add. But really, this is around give yourself the data, the preventative health. We have a family bundle, so you can actually buy, if we can discount it as you buy more tests, you get feedback, from somebody going through it. And, why wouldn't you, for, a few $100s, find out this information so that you can live according to your DNA versus against it? So we're trying to give you your biological roadmap.
I could tell you guys right up front, I've seen a lot of health fads come and go. This is not a health fad. It absolutely is not a health fad. And she is very correct. For a few $100s, the information that you're getting is worth thousands of dollars. It used to be cost thousands of dollars.
It used to cost $1 billion. Even years ago, it was $1 million. And then when I did my testing, it was thousands of dollars. Ours is $499, but it includes the consult with a nutrition. We just felt that was really important. So, and it's cheaper if you buy it for your family. So it's why wouldn't you make that investment?
Yes. And so guys, we just want to let you guys know that this is available in Regina for sure, and Saskatchewan in general, and all over the world. It doesn't matter where you are. This company is an international company. Yeah. So if you're watching this broadcast in Australia, because we do have viewers in Australia, we want to let you know that you can actually get DNA screen from this company wherever you are in this on this planet, and it's very, very necessary. Okay, Lois, give these people a way to contact your company, your website.
You can, ours is dnapower.com. David, hopefully you'll include a link. And if you do purchase a test, just let us know that you heard about us on David's podcast. Or David will have a link, I think, underneath this that you people can click on and do. And the product that we recommend is called Total Power. That tests everything. There are some smaller individual tests, but we recommend just do it all. If you do it all, then you get the consult as well. So Total Power is the main one. And I know you will learn something that will help your health.
Excellent. Guys, this has been educational, empowering, and connecting, just like we said we would do. Thank you so much, Lois, for coming on this podcast.
Thank you so much, and power to everybody's health.
All right. Take care, guys. I'll see you in the next one.